It was a really difficult match for Kaiwing. While he did every now and then find some good opportunities, it felt so hard to follow up on any of his engages. The Poppy constantly acting as an effective disengage tool, then the range that came through from both the Azir and the Jhin. Like in the extended fights, it felt like that the longer the game went on, the harder and harder it became to play for CFO. So let's see how things change up, because obviously a lot of power picks were left available in Game 1. Some of the most high priority champions that we expect, with things like Pantheon, the Rumble, still available. We already see the Pantheon banned away. Both the Varus and the Ezreal still going to be taken away early on in the draft, with the Vi to quickly follow suit.
Yeah, we continue to see whether or not something like the Rumble will make its way through this draft. Sion as well, obviously possible, because Driver is still in the game. Not the rest can't play it, but Driver is the one that CFO look to when they want someone to play that top lane tank, one of his best picks across the course of his career. For CFO, electing to be back on the blue side. Thinking about their third ban in this first rotation, Trundle will be the pick, which really does signal maybe it's going to be a Sion.
Perhaps, could be. And it's going to be banned, unsurprisingly. Looking at some of the other champions, like Cassante could still be an option. The Rumble, of course, yeah, the Rumble's still available. They can put that in Driver's hands. Again, we usually associate Driver with being more of the tankier player. Yeah. Normally, Rest is closely associated with more of the carry style champs, but Rumble's up and they want to grab it. So that's going to be locked in for Driver on the top side of the map. How is AL looking to respond? Of course, with Varus and Ezreal, two of the kind of premier AD carry champions on the patch gone, along with both the MF and the Jhin. Things like Skarner we've seen come through slightly early on in the draft. Of course, the Wukong, Annie Wukong, still a very viable option that AL could lean towards.
It's going to be the Ryze immediately locked in for them on that first pick on red side. Alongside that, a jungler makes a lot of sense. Ryze Wukong is something we see quite often, because you can deliver the Wukong to the backline with that Realm Warp if you need to, and that is where Tarzan's going to go here for AL.
Now, we've seen Hongq bring out the Cassio before. It's a good matchup into the Ryze. Can also be very obnoxious for the Wukong to have to deal with. But you are already then stacking up a lot of AP. With Yone still available, if they wanted more of an AD option, they could go in that direction. Tristana as well as another possibility. But it ultimately depends what sort of jungle matchup they want. We mentioned the Skarner earlier, provides a very solid front line, great utility. CFO made wonders happen against Koi, utilizing this pick just the other day.
And also played the Tristana against T1 in that Game 5, which they ended up losing. But, obviously are experienced on that sort of combination. Corki as well, very powerful AD carry right now. Not so often played mid anymore, usually goes down towards that bot lane, and with how well Doggo's been playing, I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to give him something that can be aggressive, that can control the 2v2.
So they want to assure Doggo a favorable matchup. This increases the value of Leona, which we did see banned from AL in the previous draft. We'll see now what the final lock-in. Does AL want to match on the AD carry, or do they want to match on the top side of the map? Could possibly be a Gwen for Flandre. Ooh.
And Nico was banned by CFO in the first rotation in Game 1, and it will be locked in now. Obviously, Nico Corki, just an incredibly powerful combination together. You have those Tangle Barbs, you've got the Pop Blossom, you've got the ability just to nuke someone in the middle of a team fight.
I also just think that picking range supports into a known engage player, I think it's just an effective strategy. Yeah. Because now if they want to, they can pinch the support pool, they can then force him onto a champion that you're expecting. And I love that the Caitlyn ban is still coming through, just assuming that there's the possibility of this Corki going into the mid lane, into the Ryze. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Leona banned away again. Maybe they consider Rel a greater threat, so they could look to ban that instead. But for CFO, they should look to try and target that AD carry pool. Try and put hope on something that's a little bit harder to execute. They could consider a Kai'Sa ban if they're worried about potential dive. Lucian is another possibility. Just a very strong 2v2 laner that can pair up nicely with the Braum.
Kalista very similarly, right? It teams up so well with the Nico, the ability to chuck her in with that Fate's Call. Get rid of that, maybe get rid of the Lucian as well is kind of where my mind is going, just because of the burst potential of it. We'll see where CFO decide to go with their final ban. For the moment, AL having a little bit of a think. Do they really think this Corki's going mid? My expectation is very much that it will go towards Doggo, but obviously there's still that possibility. There's the Leona ban, so AL sticking with their bans from game 1.
Okay. Rakan is always a possibility. I can't say that I love it, but just thinking about what engaged supports they could consider.
I'm going to be honest, I hate Rakan here. If I'm playing Rakan into Wukong, into Ryze, who can just rune prison me, and into a Nico, I am having the worst time of my life.
I didn't say it was a good pick, I just said it was a pick.
It is a pick. I 100% agree with you there. I do not think it's what you should be going here. I think the Leona would have been the best choice. You could go for something like a Nautilus, but then the Wukong decoy can block you and the Shape Splitter can block you. There's the Lucian. Sivir was banned away by CFO, and immediately AL grabbed the Lucian for themselves.
Remember, there's always the possibility that this Nico is top.
That's true.
We ourselves have seen AD Nico top, so it's not beyond the realm of possibility. Into a Rumble especially, it could be quite a good matchup. There right now, the AD carry hovers, so AL's instincts definitely on the money.
It really was. They've done their research. It looks like it is going to be the Corki in the mid lane, and then Kai'Sa for Doggo in this AD carry position. Still looking towards support, we assume. Obviously, Rumble could be support, you know?
They could do Rel or Nautilus. I think both pair nicely with the Kai'Sa.
I dislike Nautilus only because of the Shape Splitter and the decoy from the Wukong.
Sure.
It's quite hard to get onto someone because they can just chuck out a clone and stop you in your tracks. Some animated discussion there from CFO. And like, Nautilus does have the depth charge that can follow a Lucian if he tries to get away.
Lane is kind of how I think about it. It pairs nicely with the Kai'Sa. Also just the potential lockdown. It synergizes relatively well with CFO's composition. I will say at first I felt like they built a little bit more of a front to back composition. The fact that you had the Skarner, you had the Corki with decent poke from range. You also then have the Rumble ultimate that can come down through from the backline. To then have the Kai'Sa trying to dive into the backline. Do I trust Doggo? Absolutely. The man's had a fantastic tournament, and based on game 1, we've seen that this man plays with nothing but confidence. But in terms of how their bot lane synergizes with the top side of the map, I don't know if I love it. Meanwhile, for AL, like, their composition is relatively short-ranged. Both Ryze and Lucian have both a strength and a weakness in that once they close the gap, they can do a lot of damage. But they do have to get close to their opponents. The Galio is going to provide not only a good matchup into the Rumble, but also extra protection, while Kyle is going to be that primary engage tool with the Wukong, effectively acting in tandem. The knockup comes through from the Wukong, well then you're going to have another one come from the Nico, and whichever way it starts, it's going to do some serious damage in the team fights.
Non-subscribers will be back in 30 seconds time. For CFO, they just have to be hyper aware in this game. A Realm Warp with either a Nico or a Wukong in it, followed up by the hero's entrance, followed up by subsequent Cyclone or Pop Blossom, is a very tricky thing to deal with. They don't have a huge amount of escape potential on things like the Rumble or the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa can kill her instinct, but she needs someone to be tagged to do that. Nautilus can try and dredgeline his way away. But it does feel like if anyone's Legend get on towards that backline, it's really tricky for CFO to play. They want to poke a little bit with the Equalizer, they want to poke a little bit with the Corki, and then they want to be able to dive in themselves.
All right, well, let's jump into game 2, see how things pan out. Medic and I are going to do our best to... Oh, hang on.
Oh, Kyle is ignited. He's trying to dodge, misses, but the hook from Kaiwing goes wide. He still gets the kill. Hongyu now down to 0 HP as Hope will take that kill. They're going to chase Kaiwing away, who doesn't have flash and doesn't have ignite and doesn't have a leg to stand on. AL find 2 in an incredible early exchange.
Okay, let's get a replay on that one. So it's a fight for the brush, it seems like. They realize that Kyle, he's not backing away, and so CFO says, sure, we'll take this fight. The hook goes extremely wide. The flash auto attack, because it started, it's going to finish, gets that kill on the Kyle, but so much damage was done onto Hongyu. Hope, why not flash in? You've got the backup of Tarzan and Shanks by your side. He gets the secondary kill as well because the flash was gone from Kaiwing. So now this Lucian is starting the game with 2 kills.
Has an extra longsword as well from that back. Gets back into the lane in time for the wave, so there's not even an experience differential.
Yeah, that is a worthwhile trade, I would say.
Still has his barrier as well, just in case something goes wrong in the lane. You can see Doggo standing a little bit further back as Akaya will land that blooming burst. And for the moment, it's going to be a very tricky situation for the CFO bot lane. The jungle is starting on opposite sides of the map. Ginger went Razor Beaks into Krugs, and then will do his red and path towards top. Whereas we see the Wukong starting on the red buff, going to his Krugs, and then down towards that bottom side, which does make a lot of sense. I'm going to be honest, if your Lucian gets 2 kills early doors, you should probably be ganking that lane.
I very much agree. I think that they should be throwing everything in the kitchen sink towards that bot side of the map, especially with no summoners available on the Nautilus. So Honkyu with good push on the mid lane. Driver, understandably, going to sit underneath his tower, knowing that he is largely on the weak side of the map for now.
Oh, Shanks
taking an unfavorable trade. Good route will keep Honkyu in place. Of course, doesn't have the W just yet, but he is close to getting it.
He does have his flash, does Shanks, so can escape Honkyu, who used his flash in that level 1. But Honkyu showing the power of the Gatling gun in the lane there, especially with Ryze having relatively short range. You can just Gattle him down. Shanks looking for the overload, and he'll find it! And we just see Honkyu pushing up daisies. Just as I'm praising him, Shanks puts him in his place.
I think the mistake from Honkyu was using that Q on the wave to last hit those 2 minions. Without that tool available with the long cooldown, Shanks knew that he had the trade advantage. So he walks up, goes for the trade, and he ends up getting a kill. No flash available on Honkyu, no way for him to escape. Beautifully done.
And after game 1 was so slow, it's great to see the second fastest all-time first blood between these two teams at 38 seconds.
You saw that Q being used on the minions, and with that gone, it just Shanks knows, I now have more damage than you at level 3. I get to press more buttons than you do, which results in a solo kill for Shanks.
And for Honkyu, maybe trying to rectify some of his earlier mistakes. Hope and Kyle.
That's a dive. Yeah. They are diving this tower, Medic.
That they are. You can see
you have to run
on his way down here. Kaiwing and Doggo backing away. Kaiwing's Ignite is back up, and Nautilus, notoriously tricky to dive because he has so much CC in his kit. Tarzan will come around the corner. And with the Blooming Burst coming out, Shanks with good damage onto Honkyu. Valkyrie across from Honkyu. Phosphorus Bomb going wide again as Shanks looks for the overload, but doesn't quite connect.
Phase Rush coming in. Very valuable there for Shanks. The bot lane surviving the threat of a dive. A lot of farm going to be lost, though, as Hope continues to build a lead on the bot side of the map. Biscuit still available for Doggo, but with 2 health pots on Hope's side. Oh, wait, this might be another kill.
Might just be dead again!
He has to back away.
Shanks still has flash here. Good spell flux through a little bit of damage. Overload the wave. We'll see. Honkyu's going to stay around. Doesn't have the teleport. Used it back into the lane after his death. So dying again here, especially on a cannon wave, would be absolute disaster. Not only for Honkyu, but also for CFO as a whole. The fact that this Corki is going to be so far behind in the early game, devastating when you want to play around those early spikes.
Everything is just going the way of anyone's legend right now. Ooh, he goes under the tower.
Flash away from Shanks.
That was ambitious. Yep, that was a close one, Shanks. But he is just denying Honkyu as much as he possibly can. Finally gets punished for his aggression. Nice roam comes through from Kaiwing. Still, though, AL in the driver's seat for now with the advantage that they've been able to build.
Honkyu will be very happy to get this wave pushed out. Has the tier, will start stacking up. Now going to recall and start to build towards his first item. Hope is the big lead, really, for AL, as he has about 6,500 gold as his advantage. Double longsword pickaxe into a Rectrix. That is a sizable difference in terms of damage profiles right now.
Rumble ultimate just going to be used to clear out that wave. We've seen it many times before. That's not Shank. Surprise! Doggo going to take a bit of damage, but nothing too serious. And again, we find ourselves in a slower early game once again. Remember that both these teams
had 4 kills at 6 minutes.
Yeah, but now it's calmed down.
Now it's calmed down.
Okay. That's what I mean. Okay. I like that. Both sides taking a breather. CFO don't want to fight more right now. They would very much like to hit a pause, timeout. That's what they're getting. An opportunity to farm. Full clear is going to continue to come through from the junglers, kind of as we expected. Level 6s are really important. Honkyu can have a little bit more range now that he has access to his ultimate as well. And Shanks is moving into the fog of war. So he does have his ulti. The bot lane is very healthy still, though. So Doggo and Kaiwing shouldn't be too concerned. Kaiwing really wants to protect this wards.
Hope will be able to, not Hope, Kyle will be able to walk around and take that one down, disguised as Hope in that bottom side. Drake is up. Tarzan playing around that Scuttlecrab for now. Hits the level 6 off it as well, so has the Cyclone if he wants to look towards that bottom side. Tarzan clearing out a ward here will just decoy over the wall. And it looks like with the pressure that they have in bot and in mid, anyone's Legend are going to look for the first neutral of the game.
And I don't think CFO can really contest it. With the sheer amount of pressure that's happening on the bot lane, and with Shanks getting that solo kill, it's just, AL are a little too strong right now. And CFO, as we mentioned earlier, just need a bit of a timeout, need a bit of a pause to get their footing back in before they really look for a fight. Shanks, though, he's not done.
Honku having the Valkyrie means that he can get to safety, but it's a tool used that allows Tarzan just a little bit more safety around the Drake. Second time in 2 games, we've seen AL get the first Dragon of the game. In game 1, though, CFO were able to strike back pretty effectively by getting the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Taunt coming out from Flandre is Galio such a common matchup into the Rumble now, often used just to negate his laning phase and negate the power that he can have in pushing in that top lane.
I was kind of expecting a swap to come out a little bit earlier from CFO, but I guess because Driver's doing so well in terms of the 1v1 matchup, they still wanted to give him that opportunity to be a carry in the mid game. The Rumble, of course, going to spike very hard once you get that first item finished off.
That's the worst feeling as a top laner, though. When your bot lane gives 2 kills over to the enemy AD carry in the early game, and then they're like, hey man, any chance we can swap lanes? I'd love to go top for grubs. It's like, no, I don't want to deal into the guy that
I'm good up here.
Yeah. And he is going to teleport back up to top. Opening up through mid, there were Doggo and Kaiwing. So it looks like it might be a Grubs fight with the expectation that Honku teleports down towards that bot side as the waves go in later.
Doggo sacrificed a lot there. TP now going to come through from Flandre. The Grubs started off. It's hard for Tarzan, though. He's quite far away.
Flandre goes in with the Justice Punch. Doesn't land the taunt. Kyle has the Pop Blossom level 6 and the Flash. Honku's going to try and chunk him out with a Gatling gun. Smite already used by Junja. Will be back up in a couple of seconds' time. Tarzan could just step in here and steal away one of these Grubs, but he's looking for a flank of his own. Junja gets the second Smite off. And I wonder if CFO will just disengage. Doggo culled. Down to 300 HP. CFO should retreat from this. The Realm Warp coming out as well. We'll bring Tarzan onto the backline. There's the Cyclone Pop Blossom. And it's a Venn diagram of death here for CFO. AL find 2 as they sweep away the LCP.
Quick collapse from AL as they find a fight in CFO's jungle. The Grubs, though, 2 were secured by CFO. So at least some good news as their camps are starting to fall on the top side. Tarzan, is he going to turn his attention to that last Grub? Looks like he's not that interested in it, to be honest. But a nice fight from AL. That's the idea behind the composition, right? Tarzan finds an angle in. And this is what I mean by the follow-up. Whether it's Kyle to start the fight or Tarzan doesn't really matter, and it was something you were saying a lot in the draft. The Rise ultimate just makes it so easy. It's a delivery system. And this package arrived right on time. The Galio ultimate, quick to follow. The knockup comes through, the follow-up is there. And the Wombo combo is clean. Forces the flash out from Junja. He doesn't quite get over the wall. And it's 2 kills secured for AL.
And the great thing for AL about fighting in narrow points like that is there's only so many ways you can try and escape. So if Kyle comes from one flank and Tarzan comes from the other, it's really hard for CFO to actually disengage the fight effectively. We saw them almost getting out, but as soon as the Pop Blossom comes across the top of it, you're pretty much done for. 2,000 gold lead or thereabouts now for AL. You can see most damage in that last fight done by Kyle.
Supports are very balanced.
It's early game, man. It's all base numbers, right?
Yeah,
He's got a Hexa Goldinator now, though, if he wants to.
Keep coping, Medic. It's all good.
I mean, I don't play support anymore. I'm a Phil main.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Learning the power of the AD carry role.
I feel like some people have learned some very valuable lessons about the AD carry role recently.
What do you mean tank builds don't work, Benny?
Well, Dragon spawning in about 1:30 seconds. And I imagine that AL will want that.
Yeah.
As they usually want every objective on the map.
It's going to be really interesting to see how CFO bounce back from this, because in game 1 they were able to get some of these early neutrals, they were able to get some of the stuff off the map. Here AL are just controlling everything and have a large chunk of change in their back pockets.
I mean, Honku just feels so weak right now. You know, a Tia, a Tunneler, a Ruby Crystal, like, you can't win out on the trades against Shanks anymore. You lost your flash again. And the tower helping make the trade even, but with this constant pressure on side, it means that AL will always have access to the river first. And Shanks is just going to keep the pressure up. Hope with the Essence River already completed against Doggo as well. CFO just can't really afford to fight right now. And so every fight that they get baited into means that AL just get to accelerate the game even more than they already have. A 2K lead at 12 minutes in is a very difficult spot for CFO to be in. Of course, coming into this series, it was always going to be an uphill battle against the LPL first seed. But I definitely wasn't expecting this level of dominance here in Game 2. But at the same time, how can you predict a level 1 fight to go the way that it does?
That's the thing. We've all been in solo queue games where level 1 just decides everything. Someone gets a massive lead, and currently that's Shanks and Hope. Shanks 750 gold ahead. Sorry, Shanks is 700, Hope is 750. Tarzan's even almost 800 ahead himself, has that Triforce already complete, and his jungle pet is 6 stacks closer to finishing than we see for Ginger, which just means his smite is more likely to be up for these big objectives, especially around the Rift Herald, if he can manage to get there before Ginger actually fully upgrades his pet. But with the red buff up, Ginger should be able to get there within the next couple of minutes or so. He's got the Krugs as well. CFO posturing around the Drake. I don't think it's the best idea. Hook is going to hit onto Kyle.
It's too slow. They're not there.
Ginger going in with the smite. It's secured by Tarzan. Hero's Entrance coming out as well. Calling onto Hongkyu. Realm Warp there for the follow-up. Kyle trying to get in with the Pop Blossom. Ginger there first. Target up towards the top side. Hongkyu will fall first. Kaiwing next as Hope flashes forward for the kill. Ginger follows suit. It's a massacre. AL pick up 3 more.
CFO approached an area of the map that they were not allowed to approach. This was a no-fly zone, and AL quickly pick up 3 kills. CFO should have prioritized looking for a crossman, maybe getting some plates elsewhere on the map, but instead they're just spectators. Ginger thinks that he can get a steal by coming in from over the wall. Notice that Flandre has already rotated down into the mid lane. Has the ulti available. Shanks with the ulti as well. Flandre tries to join in on the portal, can't quite get in range. And while the ultimate is pretty good from Ginger, he gets locked down by Kyle. Tarzan's able to pick up the kill onto Ginger. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, 2 fall as well. AL picking up 3 kills, second dragon of the game. It's a 4K gold lead, and Game 2 feels near but almost over.
The only speck of blue down towards the bottom is Driver, who has about a 600 gold lead. Most of that because Flandre wasn't there for the last couple of minutes. He's down towards that dragon side. Shanks at this MSI having an absolute whale of a time, especially in this game on this rise. Involved in 7 of the team's 8 kills, 14 minutes in, has a huge gold lead as well. And for CFO, you're really looking at, like, can we find a pick? Can we play him out a pocket of vision? They do have some vision up towards this top side with the Rift Herald there. But as you can see, Ginger's still yet to complete that jungle pet.
I know that LPL fans have been really enthusiastic about showcasing Shanks on the international stage, and I do hope his performance will garner him more attention, more fans. I mean, his series versus Chovy was already incredibly impressive. The fact that he's continuing that level of dominance here. Game 1, he was a little bit quiet, but in so many of those fights, he was kind of the quiet carry. Like, you highlighted a lot, the individual gold lead that he was able to build. And this game, just completely singling Hongkyu out of the game, solo killing him with his lack of flash. He's having a fantastic performance, and he's going to continue to do so, I expect, throughout this series. Kind of take stock of the situation, and it's Rift Herald on the map. And the problem for CFO is, even though they have that first item completed, I don't know if they actually feel strong enough to go for a fight. Might be their last opportunity, because I guess you could argue that in terms of... Oh, never mind. That's a Navori quick plate's finished. Or Hope. I was about to say, in terms of itemization, they're not too far apart, and then the second item gets finished for the Lucian, and you're like, okay, you're a little bit behind now.
Just a smidge, Eddie, just a smidge. At the moment, though, Tarzan is on the bottom side of the map, shadowing Shanks.
Is there a play here?
I mean, it's always possible. Tarzan will clear out the vision. Shanks decides against the play, as you have to feel Rift Herald probably the key objective. AL could play for first tower as well for the feats of strength. They've managed to chunk these out quite a bit. A lot of them down to about half HP, at least in this mid lane for now. Just let the Wukong clear through his entire jungle and then work your way up towards the top side. TP coming out from Shanks as he's going to match Hongkyu once again. You can see a little bit of vision invested to get sight on CFO's blue side jungle. Kaiwing is stepping in here. There's a small window where Hope and Kyle are alone, but you have to be careful of the hero's entrance, the Realm Warp, and that Cyclone. Tarzan joins up with his bot lane to try and control this river. Flandre there in the mid lane to push out the wave. Shanks has gone missing on the map, and because of that, CFO immediately back away. They cede control of this river, and AL should be able to get their third neutral objective.
I think CFO might still try and contest this, Medic.
Okay, the killer instinct from Doggo. He's a long way away right now, can jump in. Ginger trying to posture around it as Kyle locks him up. Kyle down to half HP, does still have that Pop Blossom Taunt coming out. It's going to land, but only onto the Nautilus. There's a culling follow-up, dead shot, Pop Blossom! And Nautilus is the one who just goes pop. Hero's entrance comes in for the magic shield on Kyle. Cyclone for the chase on Ginger. Shanks is going to Realm Warp behind them, and Ginger taunted up and taken out of the fight. They'll get one in response. Tarzan has fallen, but the objective and the win in the fight goes over to AL once again.
CFO are desperate to get something back, but I feel like this is not the way you do it. They just approach the objective, not respecting the amount of control that AL have. And at the very least, they do get a shutdown onto Tarzan. But 2 kills go the way of AL, and Kaiwing, he knows that they don't have control. He walks up towards the brush anyway, working with Ginger, thinking they can, at the very least, maybe get some space back. But look at the lockdown that comes through. Now, admittedly, a lot was used on the Kaiwing, which means they don't really have that many tools to chase after. Doggo commits the ulti. The fight then becomes split as AL turn their attention to the top side of the fight. They get the kill onto Ginger, and they decide not to chase anymore as Honkyu trades one back onto Tarzan.
But AL love when the fight is split because they have so many tools to get to the right side of the skirmish. Yeah. The hero's entrance, the Realm Warp, we saw it there. They have the ability, as soon as CFO split up into 2 separate groups, they can just jump on whichever group they find more advantageous. AL will now jump onto their 3rd dragon of the game, Ocean Soul Point, in their sights. CFO could look for the fight again, but they don't have the ultimates really for it. Might just be Ginger riding through the walls to try and get the steal. Doesn't even go for it. AL, 1 Drake away from Soul, 18.5 minutes in.
This is the thing, CFO is a very objective-driven team. Typically, they like to try and gain that space, look for fights around these neutrals. But I feel like in this window, they should be trying to cross-map. That top tower should be easy pickings. At the very least, it would be some gold back. Maybe funnel it into Honkyu or Doggo to put them in a position where maybe if you can get a good fight, they would have enough randomization to swing the fight in their favor. But instead, they're just acting as spectators. They're just watching as AL secures another objective. They put themselves on Soul Point, as you highlighted. Now, Artican spawns in a minute's time. Always a scary objective to start off. We saw how tense the last few fights were in the previous game. Oh, they're looking for a play.
Oh, the flash onto Hope as they dash into him. The equalizer not enough to kill him. And the Pop Blossom will turn it around. The Impale landed on a couple as Kyle is forced away. AL able to survive through the burst of CFO.
Really nice idea. Very well executed. Just not quite enough damage.
Yep.
They're just too far behind in terms of the gold. They don't have the items needed to secure a kill. Hope is able to flash away to safety. They did get both of his summoner spells out, but they had to commit a lot to get that.
Get the flash out of Tarzan as well as he came to the aid of his teammate. CFO have shown, like, they know how to pull the trigger, but as you say, when you're 5k in the hole this early on in the game, it's really tricky to have enough damage, especially with Doggo only being at 1 item right now. Hope on his way to his 3rd with another pickaxe in his inventory. A couple of pings coming out on the Artican. I think it's more for Kaiwing just to get some vision around there if he can.
4.5k the gold lead. AL turn their attention towards that bot out of tower. It is very low. They're doing this the slow and controlled approach. Mid control into bot side, vision control, jungle support working together, Shank split pushing. Again, we said it in game 1, we're seeing it again in game 2. They smother you with their pressure. And they do it so elegantly as well because the strategy should be to, like, you kind of commit on one side of the map in response. But the problem is, AL have such a huge gold lead that even if you do, like, can you kill Shanks? Like, he has flash, he has ults, and you'd invest all these resources, you try and get something on the top side, and now you have no defense on the bot side. At the very least, Honkyu acting as good wave clear right now, Ginger trying to defend.
TP to mid from Shanks, and it looks like AL want to start up this Artican, or at least pull CFO into a tricky situation. TP comes out as well from Drivers. He wants to join the fight. Has the equalizer available. All ults up for either side. Shanks, though, can just play around that mid-tier 2. Currently hovering in that fog of war. Does have the Realm Warp. Honkyu's going to answer the wave in mid as the culling comes down. And chunks out Driver. 1/3 of his HP gone. Just chip damage more than anything else. Hope walks back into the Artican, man.
All good, all good. Just a love tap. Hope going to stay bot, try and catch this wave. Flandre now takes up residence on the top side of the map. Has the TP available.
Yeah, the thing is now Honkyu has to answer that top wave, right? Because the TP has been used. by Driver on the Rumble. So Hongq into the Galio. It's kind of what we've seen over the last couple of minutes. CFO will use their short window while AL have backed away to get a tiny bit of vision for themselves. Kaiwing looking to see perhaps if a pick is possible onto Shanks, but Shanks very respectfully just standing all the way back at the tier 1. Doesn't need to step forward because all they're doing is waiting for Flandre to have that wave pushed in. As soon as they see Hongq showing up, that's their signal to step a little bit further forward.
Keeping my eyes on the minimap once again. Flandre rotating down towards the mid wave. It's going to get that mid control. CFO in a good position for a pick if they can catch Shanks. I love this idea from CFO. Set these traps. It's the best situation that you can go for when you're this far down in gold. He'll yet to actually start this objective off.
Driver showing up. He's the bait. The trap is laid.
He's not falling for it, though.
Well, they don't have to force anything onto Driver. They're already so far ahead that Driver is purely a cherry on the top of the cake. Artakan is the main objective, and they're just waiting this out.
CFO have spent a lot of time here, though. Admittedly, AL haven't gotten a huge amount for it. They've just been clearing out waves and a lot of damage done onto Flandre.
The problem for CFO is that sequence, the bait bush, didn't work, and now Ocean Drake is up in 20 seconds.
Yep.
So a fight has to happen. You can't just be sitting, waiting to see if they start the Artakan. Teleport coming in as well by Flandre. AL want this fight.
Yes, they do. But AL, again, smothering the vision. They see so much and CFO see so little. The clone will be used. CFO fight back as they wrestle their way into the bot side river. Shanks, level 16. Hovering in the tri-brush, has the ulti to create a flank. The dragon started off.
Just going to step forward, immediately jumps onto Shanks.
Ooh.
The Depth coming out as well with the 6 arm guns enough. Kyle, the first to fall in the fight, but meanwhile on the back line, Tarzan begins to rip through CFO. Doggo trying to get away as Kaiwing looks for the hook but can't land it on Shanks or Hope. Meanwhile, Driver falls to Flandre, and now it's all on the bot lane for CFO. Doggo, no killer instinct, no flash, just has the cleanse, and CFO won't take the fight any further. AL secure the soul, win the fight, a 6,500 gold lead as Doggo escapes, but Kaiwing does not. It will be a 4-for-1, a soul for AL, and you have to feel the Artakan alongside it.
The ultimate's going to be used to quickly rotate towards the Artakan. The bot tower is available for them if they want it as well. We're going to look back at this MasterCard priceless moment, and I love the idea from Ginger. Quickly commit onto Shanks, but the response from Kyle was beautiful. A massive Nico ultimate connects onto multiple members, and it gives easy access for Tarzan onto the backline. He does so much damage on the Wukong. Doggo tries to respond with a dive of his own, but he just can't match the damage. He can't match the threat until he's forced to retreat. CFO forced short in the fight once more, and AL with firm authority here in game 2.
And credit to CFO for looking for a fight like that, trying to find a pick, but you are just so far in the hole at this point. 3 items complete on Shanks, 3 items on its way for Hope, as he's got the pickaxe and the BF sword, and expect to see that Infinity Edge pretty soon. Only 2 items on Doggo, only on 2 items on Hongq as well. I mean, if a good equalizer comes off and you can lock someone on it for an absolute age, perhaps it's enough with the Bloodletters Leandries, but if I'm CFO, you're probably thinking more about how you bounce back in this series now rather than how you bounce back in this game.
Yeah, it feels pretty impossible for CFO to turn this game around in particular. Of course, they're still going to fish, they're still going to look.
They are Oysters after all.
Okay. You really just threw me off.
Sorry, man.
Every time. Baron and maybe Elder could be their way back into the game. And speaking of, AL not going to waste any time. Start that objective off. Let's see if CFO can find a miracle fight.
Force a response out of CFO.
Doggo's
Teleport
so
available. The Driver on this Rumble. Doggo a mile away, but always has the killer instinct to jump into a fight. There's a TP out from the Rumble. Hero's entrance available for Flandre as well, as they dive onto Ginger immediately. A 3-man impale, though. It's huge! As Doggo begins to turn the fight around, all on the back of Ginger. The killer instinct forward. Hope is extinguished. CFO! From nothing, find it all! An ace in the Baron as well!
That is the miracle that they needed! A perfect ace onto AL. Junja's the target that AL engage on, but he gets an ulti in response. Everything is thrown into him. And look at that, the 3-man suppress means that Doggo Hongq and Driver do so much damage. Hope is left isolated. Flandre can't do anything. And CFO get a 5-for-0 team fight with the Baron secured as well. That is a massive injection of gold.
And off the back of who? Off the back of Ginger. This guy has led this league for so many years, has been the most valuable player in the LCP, and he gets the 3-man impale to turn it around.
I hope we get the gold graph, because that is a plus 1.2, well, 1K lead now for CFO. What a monstrous gold swing. And these are the situations that we always theorize when we cast games, Medic, but rarely do they ever actualize. CFO with a monstrous punish. I'll flip the game on its head now with this huge injection of gold. They can look to contest the Elder, and with an Elder, they have all the tools they need to win this game.
And there's so much standing gold on the map as well for CFO, because they haven't been able to pick up any of these towers earlier on. Currently only sitting at 2. You can see Driver pushing him for a 3rd down towards this bottom lane. AL still have all the tools that we talked about in their toolkit. They still have the Pop Blossom, the Cyclone, the Realm Warp onto the backline, but they no longer have the massive wallets that allowed them to beat CFO if the fight wasn't entirely in their favor. Now CFO begin to turn things into their advantage. And for AL, first time in this game since 30 seconds in that they have been on the back foot.
That was 8K gold to 1. That is a 9K gold swing? 8K? Is that 9K, right?
Sally probably said the game was over.
Oh, right. Classic. I mean, we said the game was over.
Yes, we did. It's CFO
pushing in the mid lane as well. AL have committed 5 members on the bot side of the map.
The risk for Honkyu is the Realm Warp, right?
Oh yeah, he's just going to let the minions do the work. He doesn't have to overextend it. CFO going to continue their pressure on the bot sides.
A minute before the Elder. Void Seeker's coming out from Doggo, trying to find his mark. Can't do it for now. That cannon minion will stay standing, though, as another wave in mid will crash in about 10 seconds' time. Wave in bot, about 20 away or so. As Shanks has finally answered mid. Flandre forced a Justice Punch away. Has a magic damage shield, so should be fine against that Kaiser for now.
Well, here we go, Medic. The Elder. A situation that I was not expecting, given the game state, is now a very viable option. A window presented.
Look at the gold difference between Honkyu and Shanks.
Yup.
2.4K ahead from one fight and a few towers.
Am I right?
What a glow up, man. This guy's having an absolutely exceptional MSI. Winning lane against Faker a couple of times in that series.
Okay, he was getting bodied in this game.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying, this game was the aberration in the early game, and now he's back to his position, you know?
Now he's back. He is definitely back.
Interesting build as well, the Black Cleaver, Spear, Manamune, and the GA now.
For a lot of Corkies so far at this tournament. Gives you a lot of shred, a lot more cooldown reduction, a lot more HP as well. So here we go, Elder going to be spawning. It's CFO this time around with position on the Dragon.
It's AL who have to walk in. Reminder, they have that Ocean Soul though, so they are going to be able to stain up through fights. Elder begun now by CFO. AL walk into the darkness. The Elder getting shredded immediately, down to 6,000 HP. AL might not even get in range. Tarzan's going to have to decoy in. The hero's entrance coming out, but there's the Elder, and Tarzan is already down. Kyle popping a heal just to escape the clutches of CFO, but Shanks does not have that same luxury. Slammed into the wall by Ginger. He can stop time for a second, but he's going to be sent to a timeout back to the fountain as Ginger takes him down.
Elder secured, 2 kills secured. CFO now set their sights on the base of AL with one of the craziest comebacks that we've seen at MSI. CFO is looking to equalize this series right here, right now.
And for Flandre, Hope, and Kyle, you are reeling from this last sequence. Just got to try and defend your base. It looks like CFO might not go for the full push. Ginger's not with them right now, but the rest of the team are posturing forward. Going to take down this inhibitor. Another wave coming in on its way. They're taking their time with it, clearing out the waves coming out of the AL base. Tarzan up in 2 seconds' time. We'll have that Cyclone and a flash. Here's Ginger to join up with CFO. Tarzan goes in with the Cyclone immediately onto Doggo, who cleanses the way, but Hope flashes forward and gets the kill. And now the rest of CFO are on the retreat. AL have forced them out of the base for now. 1:30 still on the Elder. That might be the final push we see from it, because a double TP from AL. They want this game to end right now. Shanks on the flank. Gets onto driver, spell blocks going out, but he has to be careful because of that Elder buff still remaining on CFO. They'll retreat as 4. Tarzan trying to get in here, Realm Warp up in 6 seconds, Dredge line, depth charge, not enough, no follow-up damage onto Shanks. The Ocean Soul as well, helping them out as driver goes in with the Flame Spitter, but they just don't have the damage! Phosphorus Bomb finds its mark, a double impale as well. The Torn Coyote goes in with a War Blossom, and they'll get one in response, but now it's all on Hope. It rests on his shoulders. He opens up onto Junja, who flashes away. CFO out with 3 right now. Flandre, Justice Punch forward, Hope dashing in as well. Junja will fall, Hongkyu has the GA, is it enough? Hope trying to heal up with that Ocean Soul. And it's a 1v1 between the mid and the bot. The Gatling gun, Valkyrie forward! Hongkyu finds the double.
What a crazy fight as AL do everything in their power to stop the siege from CFO. But the TP is coming through into mid lane. There's only Tarzan left alive. He needs to get back to base. CFO, they're looking at... No. It is way too ambitious. Instead, they set their sights on the Baron. My goodness. AL into the face of the Elder, chase down CFO. Only now will the Elder wear off, but another Baron is going to be secured for CFO. The gold lead now monstrous. Tarzan trying to get in range, but it will be too little, too late. The second Baron goes to CFO. My goodness, what felt like a one-sided game, a foregone conclusion. 33 minutes in. We are at 31 kills. CFO with a 5.7k gold lead. And they are one fight away from being able to equalize this series.
So, mid lane inhibitor for AL respawns in 2 minutes 40 seconds. Elder Dragon respawns in 2 minutes 40 seconds. The Baron remains on CFO for the next 2.5 minutes, and they'll try and use it to push forward. Shanks is going to Realm Warp out here. Was scared of Junja on the flank alongside Kaiwing. For CFO,
Hongkyu is full build.
Yep.
He went from what I think 1 and 5 to 9 and 5.
Yes, he did. And you look at Shanks, he's only at 3 items. Hongkyu is just incredibly accelerated in this game. Doggo as well has got a Seeker's Arm Guard and is going up towards a Void Staff on this Kai'Sa, giving them just that little bit more magic damage. For AL, it's last chance saloon, you have to feel. A 6,000 gold hole, a 14,000 gold swing. The largest comeback at MSI this would be if CFO...
It might just be one of the biggest comebacks in international history. Like, what an insane swing. They still have to finish the job, though. Great poke onto Kyle. Tarzan fishing for a flank, but he just gets spotted out. CFO don't have a minion wave left to play with. The culling comes through from Hope already. The Realm Warp about to be available. If Shanks can use it to get Tarzan onto the back line. It's not a quick engage, but it is an option.
With the follow-up from Flandre, could be devastating for CFO. Junja, though, with these impales, has been absolutely on the mark. They step forward, Kaiwing hooks, but only onto the wall. Death charge, Pop Blossom Hero's entrance! And once again, it's the wombo combo, Kaiwing already down. Doggo Hongkyu have to retreat as Junja's locked up as well. Driver's dead, the Realm Warp forward as AL look for more. Kyle on the flank, the Tangle Barbs onto Junja. Won't get the route, just short. Still a minute before the Elder. TP available for Shanks if they did have a ward, but they don't have the vision. They don't have that flank opportunity.
I mean, that's the scary thing. CFO have demonstrated throughout this game that no matter how far behind they are, they will continue to look for fights. Guess what? AL is exactly the same. It doesn't matter what position they're in, they will continue to look for a fight. And they found another fantastic angle. Kaiwing went a little too deep. He throws the hook, it doesn't quite connect. It drags him into the midst of the AL squad though, and then Driver was there to follow up. Now they engage a little too far, AL can quickly respond, and so they keep their base alive. The Baron is going to wear off. Not much gold gained off the back of it, and the later and later we go, this gold difference really doesn't mean much. There's a few more items that AL is trying desperately to complete. And once they have it, it's all going to come down to teamfight execution. And we've seen these teamfights can go either way.
CFO trying to get control over the river with Elder up in 1 second time. Mid lane inhibitors respawn, so it's only normal cannon minions meeting in that mid lane. Tarzan so constantly looking for the flanks here. Has that hero's entrance to back him up and has the flash. No flash at the moment on Driver, but it's about to come off cooldown I think Honkyu's is on cooldown as well right now. So there's always the risk. If you can catch out Honkyu, his Guardian Angel, still a few seconds before that comes back up as well. The waves really don't matter right now. There's one pushed in towards CFO's base as Junja rooted up, but you can see damage doesn't really stick on him. Does on Shanks though. He's taken down by a third. The Shape Splitter used to get a little bit of vision in here.
Health slowly being regenerated for Shanks. Junja with good position in the river. You can feel the tension between these two teams. Elder going to be started off this time around. CFO not playing with the same speed that they were when they last had the Baron. They've got to be cautious about the angles with which AL tried to attack from. They've set their sights on the Flandre.
They land the dredge line, but look at Tarzan across the wall. Goes in with a Cyclone and forces them off his top laner. Kaiwing down to half HP. Tarzan re-engages another Cyclone. The hero's entrance not going to land. The Realm Warp looking at that backline is going to be onto Kaiwing. Honkyu forced low as Junja takes the brunt of it. The flash is away from CFO. Realm Warp not taken. Equalizes to turn it around, but with Junja at a third HP and the Ocean Soul sitting on AL, it's going to be tricky. You need to heal him back up. There's Krugs and there's Razorbeaks. If he can quickly hit them, he'll regen some of that health. The Elder now the target for AL. No vision in the pit for CFO. The control ward negates the vision that ward would give them, and there's the Elder. AL secure it. CFO immediately back away.
A well-played fight by AL. I thought that after Tarzan had used his ulti to defend Flandre, that was a big engage tool that they had lost. But Shanks using some mind games with the Realm Warp, forcing the Corki to W over the wall to regroup with his team. And then as CFO clumped up, it meant that AL had actually a good opportunity to chase. A really nice culling comes through from Hope, and it puts CFO in a situation where they're forced to retreat. Now the Baron is spawning in 30 seconds. AL, with this Elder buff, can force the fight, and now they're in a much better position to win out on the 5v5.
4 items complete on Hope and the Elder as well. No Void Staff yet for Shanks, but must be pretty close to securing that. AL just going to force Junja out of this jungle, take away the blue, take away everything they can. It's a suffocation style that AL do so well when they have an advantage in the game. Driver's going to push out that bot side. Doesn't have teleport. For CFO, this is an objective that you just have to give up. Can't fight into Soul Elder, even around the Baron. AL will secure it pretty easily. No real contest coming out from CFO. They just want those waves as far away from their base as possible. We're going to have a crossover of about a minute between the Elder and the Baron buff.
Driver hesitant to push any further on the bot lane. He will go back to base. Now CFO, the main buff they need to be wary of is the Elder. You can see the cooldown bar at the top right of your screen. That means that they'll likely lose an inhibitor. But once the Elder is gone, then CFO can probably look for a fight. The wave clear is going to come through. AL want to keep the pressure up. Shanks going back to base. A numbers advantage for CFO, but again, against this Elder, it's a scary thing to try and force. The TP is available for the Rise.
Honky just trying to harass down this wave from lane, from range, in fact, as AL won't push any further. TP to the mid lane. The Elder going to expire in the next 15 seconds or so. There's the equalizer on the way, but the Baron up minions don't take too much damage. Doggo trying to clear it out. AL will play for the mid lane in him, and they'll secure it. CFO wisely backing away. No wave here on the top side, but that tower is down to a third, and AL might just think they can tank it up. They start to do so. Takes a chunk, but it takes a while. Tarzan down to half HP himself, but in the end, AL will secure the inhib tower. Elder about to expire. There it goes. It's off. CFO still backed away and gave up double inhibs.
AL, they're not going to slow down with the pressure, though. They're continuing with the push. Junja, he's incredibly tanky. He's not tanky enough to stop the minions from doing that damage. For now, the Nexus towers stay strong. No objectives on the map, really, so AL have to keep the pressure going.
One of the weaknesses here for AL is that short range that we talked about all the way back in draft. How can Hope get close enough without the rapid fire cannon? Impale going in, there's the Pop Blossom as Kyle finds 3. Junja falls low, and he'll fall as we look for the engage on towards the backline from Doggo. Doesn't go in with the Killer Instinct, holds it for the moment. The depth charge used alongside that equalizer. The wave now pushing in. There's Tarzan, a hero's entrance. The GA on Tarzan's shoulders will bring him back to life. Both the Nexus towers are down as Kyle begins to open up on the Nexus. CFO trying to defend, but they just can't do it in the face of anyone's legend. 2-0 now on match points.
A well-fought defense by CFO. The fact that they found that miracle team fight into the Baron, they were so close to equalizing the series, but it just wasn't quite enough.
We're going to head over to the analyst desk to break down that game, and CFO's unlikely comeback just ripped out of their grasp.